Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, so I got a message from somebody asking me to please review a clip that they sent. In addition to that, wanted me to answer their friend's question. So I felt the need to go ahead and make a video to make sure that nobody else has the same confusion. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Miles Franklin. The link will be down below in the description. When you make your purchase, make sure you use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and they'll take care of you. If you have any additional questions, you can reach us over here at this phone number or over here at this particular email. For all orders over $10,000, reach out by email and we'll make sure that you get a great deal. So come on over to Miles Franklin and add to your precious metal inventory. Okie dokie, he sent me this and said, could you please answer my friend's question? So I know we've touched on this many times, but if they delete the zeros, will our dinars drop in value? So if you're in Iraq, you don't lose any value. If you're talking about people who are invested in the Iraqi dinar, if your expectation is you were going to trade your dinar in for a ton of money, it might affect your value. So just for the simplification of this example, let's pretend like the new exchange rate has changed and you can get $1 for every 1 dinar. So it's 1 to 1. Obviously, if you have the 25,000 dinar, the 1 to 1 would be perfect without them deleting the zeros. That's because you would get $25,000 for your 25,000 dinar. But if they delete the zeros like you're asking in this question, then your 25,000 dinar is now reduced down to a 25 dinar. Even if they go 1 for 1, that means your 25 dinar is only worth $25. So yes, your dinar would drop in value if they delete the zeros before a change in the exchange rate happens. I hope you get that, and if you have any questions, let me know. So the gentleman that sent me this information, we kind of had a little debate going on because we were talking about all the projects that are out there in Iraq and how they're being funded. For 20 plus years, Iraq has been funding projects with a currency that's not even worth a penny. Been doing it for 20 years. So what's the question? He said, well, maybe they'll take the oil revenue money and help supplement it. I was like, what? He goes, or they could just get money from the DFI. And I could see there was some confusion there. And I said, okay, so before we get into this, where you get this information, just explain it to me so I can understand what you're trying to ask me. And he sent me this clip and asked me to take a look at it. So here we go.
Everything we're seeing is coming to a direction that there's got to be a move at some point. Look, people that are thinking that this is being done in the background at 1310 haven't read the Strategic Framework Agreement or the DFI before they transferred that account to the Iraqi 2 account. They haven't been doing all of this work in Iraq at 1310. They have the ability to be able to use money from the DFI in the past out of the oil money. So that's USD, okay? That's the way that worked. And that's how they've been band-aiding this now.
Okay. Yesterday I did a video explaining that people inside the dinar community are suffering from this. The phenomenon where everyone shares the same information, whether it is right or wrong, is known as a illusory truth effect. That's why I was saying these people are not actually deep diving or doing the research, because they're not. I'll show you proof of that right now. Watch Mark's reaction to what it is Militia Man is saying.
Being done in the background at 1310, haven't read the Strategic Framework Agreement or the DFI before they transferred that account to the Iraqi 2 account. They haven't been doing all of this work in Iraq at 1310. They have the ability to be able to use money from the DFI.
Boom. So he's agreeing with what Militia Man is saying.
So that's USD, okay? That's
what I'm talking about. There's a difference between those who do the research and those who don't. But him saying that we obviously have not read the strategical framework, the answer is in the strategical framework. Or the fact that we have not read the DFI, which, by the way, is interesting because how do you read a DFI? It's a bank account. So if somebody can get that answer from him, I surely would appreciate it. He's implying that the answer is within those documents. But for him to say we can take money from the DFI or from the oil revenues only demonstrates the lack of knowledge. Let me show you how this works. So Iraq gets paid United States dollars for the sale of their oil. Iraq sends the dollars to the DFI, which is in America. When Iraq does their budget and they send the budget over to the United States, they request X amount of dollars. Every month they're requesting dollars, but for the sake of this, they send their budget over there saying we need X amount of dollars to help fund our projects. So they give them US dollars. It comes over here to the Central Bank of Iraq. The Central Bank of Iraq then turns around and puts it in the auction and auctions off the US dollars in exchange for the Iraqi dinar. Then the dinar goes back to the Central Bank of Iraq. Then the Central Bank of Iraq turns around and allocates the money out to the specific projects according to the schedule that they agreed on. That's how that works. The oil money goes into the DFI account. They're not two separate situations like he's explaining it. This is the Strategical Framework Agreement. I will leave a link for this down below in the description so you can come and read this yourself. It's not very long. It's like 13 pages. It's a real easy read. There's nothing in here that demonstrates or talks about when Iraq is funding their projects, they're not going to use the current exchange rate. Nothing like that is in here. But the way he said it, that implies that he has read this, and in here somewhere tells us how the projects are actually being funded and that Iraq is not using the current exchange rate. Militia Man, if you could be so kind as to please point out to us where in the Strategical Framework Agreement proves that Iraq is not using the current exchange rates at any time over the past 20 years to fund their projects. Like I said, if I'm wrong, I don't have a problem with saying I'm wrong, because I'll make a video and say I'm wrong and Militia Man's right. Oh man, there'll be a huge celebration for you, my brother. So go ahead. Where in the Strategical Framework Agreement does it explain that to us? And also, can you explain to us how we're supposed to read the DFI? Because that's a bank account. How do you read the DFI? You mean their statements? Because I can't think of any other way. Just go, hey, Pimpy, over here, Section 5, Part number 3. It says right here, this is how they're paying for the projects and that they're not using the current exchange rate. And I'll be damned. How did I miss that? Oh, it happens. And I make a video going, everybody, guess what? Militia Man is right. And there's going to be a lot of celebrating. This is how the entire dinar community would respond if Militia Man was right. So come on, Militia Man, here's your time to get the glory. Because this is what it would sound like. And I'd be like, I was wrong. Yep, and Militia Man's right. People from all over the world would be cheering and clapping. Pimpy made a video saying Militia Man is right. So there you have it. There is a time for Eminem to shine. That's the time. If there's any changes to be made for a project, then they just submit an amendment and take care of it that way. But like I said, over the past 20 plus years, Iraq has been funding projects with a currency that has a value less than 1 cent. Anyways, I just wanted to respond and get back to you guys. Get at you later. I'm out.